Welcome to the deep dive. If you're dreaming about owning property in Thailand, maybe on one of those gorgeous islands, you've likely hit this crossroads. Should you buy off-plan or go for a resale property?
It's a big question,
Yeah.
definitely.
And today we're focusing specifically on making that choice a bit clearer, especially if Koh Samui is calling your name. We're digging into some really solid insights here, actually, drawn from a blog post by Ocean Worldwide.
Right. Our goal today is pretty straightforward. We want to unpack the upsides and downsides of each option. The idea is to help you feel equipped and confident in making a decision, not, totally swamped by information.
Exactly. We know you want the core info without getting lost in the weeds. So this deep dive aims to give you just that.
Efficiency is key.
Okay, so before we jump into the details, let's just quickly touch on the location. We'll mention Koh Samui a lot, naturally. But the perspective we're drawing on today comes from Ocean Worldwide. They're a luxury real estate agency actually based in Phuket.
And it's crucial to get that pronunciation right. It's Phuket.
Yes, Phuket. Definitely not Phuket. They've been operating there since way back in 2004. Sandra O'Neill is the director.
And she, along with her team, they have a really impressive track record. They've helped literally thousands of families and investors find properties over the years.
That's right, and their specialty.
Yeah.
Luxury residential real estate, focusing on both Phuket and, of course, Koh Samui. So their insights are pretty valuable for this discussion.
Absolutely grounded in years of experience.
Okay then, let's start with the appeal of something totally new, off-plan properties. What are we actually talking about when we say buying off-plan?
Basically, buying off plan means you're committing to purchase a property, could be a villa, maybe a condo, even a townhouse before it's physically built.
Right, so you're going off the plans and maybe some fancy computer images.
Exactly. You're relying on the developer's plans, the renderings, the specifications. It's a bit like ordering a custom-made suit, maybe, or reserving a new gadget before it's manufactured. There's a wait involved.
Got it. You're investing in the potential, in the vision. And it sounds like Koh Samui has quite a mix of these future properties on offer. What kind of developments are typical?
Well, the Ocean Worldwide piece points out quite a range. You've got those really high-end luxury villas, think infinity pools, amazing sea views, the whole
The
package.
dream stuff.
Yeah. Then you also see modern condominium complexes, often with shared facilities like gyms, pools, maybe restaurants,
More communal living.
and even smaller projects like townhouse developments. It's quite varied. And interestingly, the type of development itself impacts the investment potential and the risks too.
How so?
Well, for example, if you buy a condo in a large building, you might get great rental income potential because of all the amenities. But you could also face more direct competition from other units right there in the same building when you go to rent it out or sell it. A villa might have different risks, like potential construction delays being more impactful.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Different scales, different considerations.
Yeah.
So what are the big pulls? Why do people take that, leap of faith and buy off-plan? What are the main benefits?
One of the biggest attractions, usually, is the potential for a lower initial price. Developers often give discounts to the first buyers.
The early bird deals.
Precisely. They need to secure funding to get the project rolling, so early investors can sometimes buy in for less than the property's expected value upon completion.
Okay, potential saving up front. What else?
Flexibility and customization is another big one. Depending on the developer and the stage of construction, buyers might get to choose things like layouts, finishes, maybe add extra features.
Oh, interesting. So you can put your own stamp on it from the start.
To some extent, yes. You can personalize your future home more than you could with a finished property. And then there's potential capital appreciation.
Meaning the value could go up while it's being built.
If the market's moving in the right direction, yes, the property's value might increase during that construction phase, even before you get the keys.
Nice potential bonus.
Plus, developers often set up flexible payment plans. You might pay in stages, linked to construction milestones, which can make the financial side feel a bit more manageable.
Sprints the cost out.
Yeah. And finally, you're getting something brand new, built to current standards with modern designs and features.
Okay, so potential lower price,
Yeah.
customization, possible value growth, staged payments, and modern specs. Sounds pretty compelling. But there have to be downsides, right? What are the major risks people need to watch out for?
Oh, absolutely. This is where you need to be really careful. The Ocean Worldwide Insights highlight several key risks. Construction delays are probably the most common headache.
Right. Things taking longer than expected.
Exactly. It could be due to bad weather, problems getting materials, sometimes even the developer running into financial trouble. These delays can mess up your plans, maybe cost you extra money.
Yeah, nobody wants their dream home stuck halfway built. What else?
Quality issues are another concern. The finished property might not quite match the glossy brochures or the show unit you saw.
Oh, dear. So the reality doesn't live up to the promise.
It can happen. That's why checking the developer's track record, looking at their past projects, and having a really detailed contract specifying materials and finishes is so important.
Due diligence on the builder is key then.
Absolutely crucial. Then there are market fluctuations. The property market could dip while your place is being built.
So the value could actually go down before you even move in.
It's a risk, yes. You're betting on the future market, essentially.
Okay. Any other major risks?
Legal and financial risks are the other big category. You need a rock-solid contract that protects you, especially if things go wrong, like the developer facing insolvency. Understanding the payment schedule, any penalties for missed payments, it's all vital.
Sounds complicated.
It can be, which is why seeking advice from a qualified Thai real estate lawyer is pretty much essential. Someone who understands the local laws and can review everything for you. Ocean Worldwide, with their experience in Phuket and Samui, would definitely stress this point.
Good advice. Get a lawyer. Okay? That gives us a solid picture of off-plan. Now, let's flip the coin and look at resale properties. What exactly falls under the resale umbrella?
Resale is simply a property that's been owned before and is now being sold again. Could be an apartment, a condo, a villa, anything that's not brand new from a developer.
So it's got a history.
Exactly. And the big difference is it exists now. It's tangible. You can walk through it, touch the walls, see the view with your own eyes.
Right. None of that hoping the renderings are accurate. You can kick the tires, so to speak. What are the main advantages of going down the resale route?
Well, the most obvious one is immediate occupancy. Usually, you can move in pretty quickly after the sale closes, no waiting months or years for construction.
Big plus if you need somewhere to live now or want rental income fast.
Definitely. And as we just touched on, you can physically inspect everything. You see the exact condition, the layout, the finishes. It's that what you see is what you get factor.
That must offer a certain amount of comfort.
It really does. Less uncertainty. Plus, there's often more room for negotiation on the price with a resale property.
Oh, why is that?
Well, you're dealing with an individual seller, not usually a developer. If the property's been on the market a while or maybe needs a bit of updating, the seller might be more willing to haggle on the price.
Okay, so moving quickly, see exactly what you get and maybe negotiate a better deal. Strong points. What about the resale market specifically in Koh Samui? Any trends people should know about?
The resale market there, as Ocean Worldwide notes, it's influenced by a few things working together. Location is huge, obviously. The type of property matters, villa versus condo, for example, and the general economic climate plays a big part.
Makes sense. Are certain areas hotter than others for resale?
Generally, properties in the really prime spots, like lively Chaweng or maybe the more chilled, sophisticated Beaufort, especially around Fisherman's Village, they tend to hold their value well. But it's also worth watching broader things like interest rates, which affect how easily people can borrow.
Right. And does the time of year matter? Like tourism seasons.
It can, yeah. High season might mean more buyers around, maybe pushing prices up a bit. Low season, things might be quieter, potentially giving buyers a bit more leverage to negotiate.
Interesting.
But getting really current, specific advice from a local agent, someone like the team at Ocean Worldwide who are on the ground in Phuket and Samui, that's invaluable for understanding these trends.
Absolutely. Local knowledge is king. Okay, let's talk money. How do the initial costs typically compare? Off-plan versus resale.
Yeah, the upfront cash needed can be quite different. Off-plan often looks cheaper initially because of those early bird discounts we mentioned. Developers want to get sales locked in.
So potentially lower sticker price to start.
Right. But you need to remember that the final cost might creep up if you choose upgrades or make changes during the build. Resale properties, on the other hand, usually need a bigger chunk of money up front because, well, you're buying the finished article.
So it's kind of a trade-off. Potential savings with off-plan versus the certainty of the cost for resale.
Exactly. You're weighing potential future savings against knowing the exact price tag right now for something that's already built.
Okay. What about looking longer term? How do they compare in terms of holding value or appreciating?
With off-plan, you're fundamentally betting on future appreciation. If the area booms, the build quality is great, you could see significant growth.
Hmm.
But there's that risk, the market could change or the development might not quite live up to the hype.
More speculative, perhaps.
A bit, yeah. Resale properties offer more of a track record. You can often look at historical sales data in the area, maybe check existing rental yields if it's been rented out before. Established neighborhoods tend to offer more stability.
But maybe not that super fast growth potential of a brand new area.
Potentially, yes. It's often that classic balance. Higher potential reward with off-plan often comes with higher risk, while resale might offer more stability but perhaps slower growth.
Got it. Now, you mentioned potential extra costs earlier. Can we dig into those hidden costs a bit more for both options? What should buyers budget for?
Definitely important. For off-plan, watch out for things like costs for upgrading from the standard finishes, fees if you want to change the layout mid-construction, they call those variation fees sometimes, and be clear on what happens financially if there are significant delays.
Right. Who bears the cost of delays? And for resale?
With resale, the surprises might come from repairs needed after you buy, maybe renovation costs if you want to modernize, or just immediate maintenance stuff that wasn't obvious at first glance. Getting a proper building survey done before buying is really wise.
Good tip. Anything else that applies to both?
Oh, yeah. Legal fees, you'll always have those. Property taxes need to be factored in. And insurance premiums. It's crucial to do your homework and get professional advice, like from the folks at Ocean Worldwide, to get a realistic picture of the total cost, not just the purchase price.
No nasty surprises down the line. Okay, let's shift gears to that golden rule. Location, location, location. How critical is it in Koh Samui, considering it's an island?
It's absolutely fundamental. Ocean Worldwide really stresses this. Even though Samui isn't huge, getting from one side to the other can take a fair bit of time. So where you buy massively impacts your lifestyle and your investment return.
Right. So where are the prime spots for, say, off-plan developments?
Developers often target areas with strong existing appeal. Chaweng is popular for its energy, the nightlife. Bofut, especially Fisherman's Village, has that lovely, more relaxed but chic vibe with great restaurants. Chaweng Mon is often seen as quieter, more family-friendly with beautiful beaches.
And these places are popular because?
They're typically close to amenities, the best beaches, the airport. That usually translates to strong rental demand and good resale value down the track.
Makes sense. What about hotspots for resale properties? Are they the same areas or different?
You find resale everywhere, of course, but some areas are perhaps more known for it or offer different advantages. Menam, for example, often comes up as having a good balance. It's convenient, but maybe a bit more affordable than the absolute prime spots.
Okay. Any others?
Lomai is another popular area, quite lively with shops and restaurants. Bang Rak is convenient too, being near the airport and the big Buddha temple.
So different areas offer different vibes and price points.
Exactly. And the basic rule applies. Closer to the beach and main attractions usually means higher prices. But sometimes areas a bit further out might offer better value now and maybe more potential for growth if new infrastructure is planned. It really boils down to your personal priorities. What kind of lifestyle do you want? How much hustle and bustle? What's your budget?
Lots to weigh up just on location alone. Now, this next bit can seem daunting, the legal stuff. Buying property in Thailand as a foreigner. What are the absolute must-knows?
This is super critical. The main point, as Ocean Worldwide explains clearly, is that generally foreigners cannot directly own land freehold in Thailand.
Okay, that's the big one. So how do foreigners buy property then?
The most common way is through a leasehold agreement. You lease the land, usually for up to 30 years initially, often with options to renew. Understanding the exact terms of that lease, especially the renewal parts, is vital. Are renewals guaranteed? What are the costs?
Right, those details matter hugely long-term. Are there other ways?
Some people set up a Thai limited company to own the property, but that comes with a whole load of rules, accounting requirements, tax implications. You absolutely need proper legal advice if you're thinking about that route.
So it's complex.
It can be. Another structure is called usufruct, which gives you the right to use the property for a set time or even for life, but it's not ownership. Again, legal advice is key.
So the overwhelming message is, get a good lawyer who specializes in Thai property law.
100%. Ocean Worldwide would strongly echo that. It protects you and ensures you're following all the rules.
Okay. You mentioned leasehold versus freehold. Can you just clarify the core difference again for a foreign buyer?
Sure. Freehold is basically outright ownership of the land in the building. As we said, generally not directly available for foreigners buying land. Leasehold is the right to use the property and the land it's on for a fixed period, typically starting at 30 years.
And that's the common way for foreigners?
Yes. For houses and villas especially, condos can sometimes be bought freehold by foreigners up to a certain percentage of the building, but for land and houses, leasehold is standard. The key difference is duration. Freehold is theoretically forever, leasehold is time limited, though often renewable. Understanding those renewal terms and costs in your lease contract is paramount.
Gotta pay close attention to the lease details. What about taxes associated with buying? What should people budget for?
There are a few transactional taxes. There's a transfer fee, usually split between buyer and seller when ownership changes hands. Stamp duty is a smaller tax on the transfer documents.
Okay.
There might be a specific business tax if the seller is flipping the property quickly, and there's usually a withholding tax deducted from the sale price.
So several different potential taxes.
Yes, it's really important to factor these into your budget. A good agent, like Ocean Worldwide or your lawyer, can give you pretty accurate estimates for the specific property you're looking at. Don't forget them.
Good advice. Okay, let's talk about paying for this dream. Financing. What are the mortgage options like, especially for foreigners wanting off-plan or resale in Koh Samui?
Yeah, financing can be tricky for non-Thais. Getting a standard mortgage from a Thai bank is generally difficult, especially for off-plan. Their lending rules for foreigners are usually quite strict.
So Thai banks are often not an option.
Often not a straightforward one. However, some developers, particularly for larger projects, might offer their own financing plans. These usually involve those staged payments we talked about earlier, tied to construction progress.
Developer finance could be an option, though.
It could be, but you need to read the fine print very, very carefully. Interest rates, terms, penalties, everything. Get legal advice on it.
Right, so what do most foreign buyers do if Thai banks are difficult and developer finance needs scrutiny?
Many use their own savings. Or they might get loans from banks in their home country, maybe secured against assets they own back home. There are also some private lenders who specialize in expat mortgages, but the interest rates might be higher.
So sorting out your finances beforehand is pretty crucial.
Absolutely. As Ocean Worldwide often advises clients, have your funding strategy clear before you even start seriously looking at properties. It avoids disappointment later.
Makes sense. And how do the actual payment structures usually work? You mentioned staged payments for off-plan.
Yes, for off-plan, it's typically spread out.
Hmm.
You might pay a small reservation fee, say 5%, then maybe 20% when the foundations are done, another 20% when the main structure is up, perhaps 20% for the roof and interior work starting, and the final 10% or so on completion and handover. It varies, but that's the idea.
Okay, phased payments. And for resale.
Resale is usually more upfront. You'll pay a deposit to secure the deal, often around 10%, and then the remaining 90% is due when the ownership is officially transferred.
Much simpler structure, but requires the bulk of the money sooner.
Exactly. And again, with any payment structure, especially off-plan, get legal advice on the terms and check that developer's reputation thoroughly.
Good reminder. Okay, timing.
Oh.
Is there a best time to buy in Koh Samui? Does it differ for off-plan versus resale?
Timing can definitely play a part. For off-plan, often the very beginning, the early launch phase is when you'll find the lowest prices.
Get in first for the best deal.
Potentially, yes. And you usually have the widest choice of units then, too. Plus, you have that longer period for potential capital appreciation during construction.
But presumably higher risk early on, too.
That's the trade-off. You need to do really thorough due diligence on the developer if you're buying right at the start. For resale properties, market conditions matter more.
Like the overall economy or tourism.
Exactly. If tourism dips or the economy slows down a bit, you might find sellers are more negotiable. There could be better deals to be had during those quieter periods.
And what about the seasons we talked about earlier? High season versus low season.
Yeah, that impacts the resale market too. High season, roughly December to February, usually means more people around, higher demand, potentially higher prices, and sellers might be less willing to budge.
Okay.
Low season, maybe May to October, generally sees fewer tourists. That can mean less competition among buyers, potentially lower asking prices, and more room to negotiate a good deal.
So low season might be bargain hunting time.
It could be, although it's worth remembering that really prime property, like absolute beachfront land, might hold its value pretty well regardless of the season.
Good point. Location still matters most.
Okay, drawing all this together, what are your absolute top tips for someone looking to buy wisely in Koh Samui?
Okay, number one, without a doubt, Conduct rigorous due diligence. I can't stress this enough.
What does that involve specifically?
Get a lawyer to check the land title thoroughly. Make sure it's properly registered, no liens or claims against it. Understand the zoning rules, what can you actually build or do there. Check for any environmental restrictions too. It protects you from huge headaches later. Okay, due diligence first. What's next?
Choose your real estate agent very carefully. You need someone who genuinely knows the Koh Samui market inside out, has a good reputation, and isn't just trying to make a quick commission.
How do you find someone like that?
Check their credentials, ask for recommendations from other expats or locals, and make sure you have good communication. Do they listen to you? Do they explain things clearly?
Find a trustworthy local expert. Good advice. Anything else?
Yes, specifically for off-plan. Evaluate the developer's reputation meticulously. You're betting on their ability to deliver what they promise.
How do you check that?
Look at their past projects. Have they completed development successfully? If possible, go visit them. Try to assess their financial stability and check what guarantees they offer, structural guarantees, warranties on fixtures. Some offer maybe a 10-year structural guarantee, for example. It varies.
So, research the property, research the agent, and research the developer if buying off-plan.
Exactly. Those three things are crucial. And again, leveraging the experience of established agencies like Ocean Worldwide, who've been navigating the Phuket and Samui markets for decades, can be incredibly helpful with all of this.
Excellent tips. Now, let's gaze into the crystal ball a little. What future trends do you see shaping the Koh Samui property market? For off-plan first.
Well, I think we'll see a growing focus on sustainability in new developments. Things like solar panels, rainwater harvesting, maybe EV charging points, and more smart home technology integrated from the start.
Catering to modern buyers' expectations.
Yeah, definitely. Buyers are increasingly environmentally aware and tech-savvy. We might also see more mixed-use developments combining residential with maybe some shops or cafes. It'll be interesting to see which developers lead the way on this.
Okay. And what about the resale market outlook?
I expect the resale market will likely remain pretty stable. There's enduring demand from both local Thais and international buyers. Well-located, well-maintained properties, especially in established areas, should continue to hold their value.
Any particular segments looking strong?
Older properties might need renovation, offering opportunities for some buyers. But the market for good quality sea view pool villas, that's likely to stay strong. That's a very desirable product in Koh Samui. As always, watching interest rates will be important too.
Makes sense. So overall, is Koh Samui still looking like a good place for property investment?
Generally, yes. The island's appeal for tourism and lifestyle is a powerful driver. When tourism does well, the local economy benefits, which tends to support property prices.
Any economic indicators supporting that?
Well, broader projections for Thailand's economy, like the IMF's outlook for 2025, suggest moderate growth, helped by consumption and external demand. That's generally positive for property.
But still need to be cautious.
Always. Remember the risks: construction delays, market shifts. Due diligence and working with reputable, experienced professionals like Ocean Worldwide remain absolutely key. It's about a balanced approach, staying informed. Key factors influencing things will be tourism growth, any new infrastructure projects on the island, and overall economic stability.
Good overview. It sounds like there are exciting opportunities in both Phuket and Samui, but you need to go in with your eyes open.
Precisely. Do your homework. Partner wisely.
Okay, well, that wraps up our deep dive into the off-plan versus resale decision in Koh Samui. It's clear there's no single right answer, is there?
Not at all. To quickly recap, off-plan offers that potential for lower initial cost, maybe some customization, but you take on risks like delays and market changes. Resale gives you certainty, you see what you get, you can move in quickly, but often requires a larger initial payment.
So the best choice for you, the listener, really hinges on your own situation, your budget, how soon you need the property, how comfortable you are with risk, and what your long-term goals are.
Exactly. And as we've said multiple times, thorough research, actually visiting Koh Samui and exploring different areas, and getting advice from local experts is just non-negotiable.
Absolutely. Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. Beyond the spreadsheets and the legal documents, take a moment to think about the lifestyle you're actually seeking in Koh Samui.
That's a great point. What does your ideal island life really look like? Is it buzzing and busy or quiet and secluded, close to international schools or far from the crowds? Understanding that personal side, what truly resonates with you, can be just as crucial as the financial analysis in finding the perfect property.